Listen up, Texans. This week, our guides have the lowdown on bass tournaments where you can win big, and the latest hotspots so you can plan your day of fishing despite the weather. This is the Texas Insider Fishing Report.
Hey y'all, we're back for another exciting week on the Texas Insider Fishing Report. We hope everyone had a fantastic Mother's Day and hopefully out on the water catching some fish.
You are so right.
I am so right.
We were catching them, weren't we?
We were catching them. But this week, Rick, all the guys' reports are on fire and y'all will definitely be getting that bite, especially with the help of Dave Farrell at the CCA Workbench. Yeah. Dave, you have some good stuff to learn us tonight.
I'm going to learn you. We're going to talk about some kingfish action offshore. Once the wind stops, there's going to be a lot of kingfish out there. So we're going to tell you how to catch some of those tonight.
Well, that sounds good. Rick, what do you say we get started with our first captain?
I'm ready.
Okay, Captain Caleb Harp with Harp's Guide Service is first up tonight, giving us an inshore and offshore report from Houston to Port Arthur in the Galveston Bay. You know, I've been seeing your Instagram post, Caleb, and it seems like you've really been slaying the reds and the trout. Hopefully we have more of that going on this weekend. Is that right?
That's right. It's been pretty
Cool.
good over here when the wind's down, but it's blowing right now, but that's kind of this time of year. You never know what it's going to do. But, you know, the trout, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off, start talking about the trout. These trout have really been thick on the rock walls and sand flats in the whole lower Galveston Bay and Campbell's Bay area. You know, and most of these trout aren't residential trout. They've came in through the jetties, and, you know, they've settled down in these areas. And, you know, being that this area is so close to the Ship Channel and the Galveston Channel, it really brings in a lot of tide and keeps the region clean and active. But bait activity is always key, and normally whenever you see visible signs of bait, the fish are there. And really the best way to fish this stuff is just trolling up and down the rock walls that come out of the man-made revetments. You know, there's a lot of new growth and new, you know, man-made rock walls and stuff all up in this area around Campbell's and Snake Island, Pelican Island, and Sand Island. And those rock walls really hold a lot of fish. But trolling up and down them, looking for bait, throwing paddle tails like a mirror lure soft shad on an 1/8-ounce jig head is really the best way to go. And every once in a while, when those fish are on top, you can get them on top waters. But throwing a paddle tail soft plastic is really the best bet as far as locating the fish and staying on them. And then I'm going to go ahead and talk about the redfish. These redfish, they're still thick on the Sabine jetties. We've already talked about that, but it's really consistent right now. I know a lot of the guys are going out there and they're doing really well on those Sabine rocks. You know, fishing down the rocks, throwing crankbaits is really the best way to locate those schools of fish. And once you find them with the crankbaits, then it's good to switch over to a vertical jig. And I mean, if you're really whacking them on crankbaits, you know, don't fix it if it isn't broke. But a lot of times you can go over to a vertical jig and you'll be able to stand on the school and really pinpoint exactly where they're at. And when I'm vertical jigging, I like to throw a 4-inch gulp shrimp on a 1/2 to 3/4 ounce jig head. But if you're getting hung up a lot in the rocks and the trash that's down there on those jetties, it's good to go ahead and go weedless by rigging up the gulp on like a big Texas Rig bass hook with a 3/4 to 1 ounce slip singer. That way you just don't have to worry about anything. But, you know, there's going to be a whole lot of bull reds. Most of these fish out there, they're big. They're a lot of fun to fight. Not very many slots, but if you grind through the bulls, you know, you can catch some big slots. So a lot of those tournament guys are going over there and they're doing that with some pretty good success. But also, don't be surprised if you latch into a big trout while doing that too. Those trout have been pretty thick on those rocks as well.
Tell us about the photo, Caleb.
That's it, man. Well, I got a trout stick and then a redfish stick, but that redfish picture, that was a customer of mine, Chelsea Burns. She caught that red yesterday, actually, on a mirror lure Little John. We were working some slicks out there. It was just mixed in with the trout, but yeah, it was a pretty good fish. That was a slot. It was almost 9 pounds.
Oof.
And so that would have been good on tournament day.
Yeah, you're so right about that. All right, let's go offshore, man.
Let's go offshore. All right, man. Yeah, the cobia are really going to be your most consistent right now with the high winds. You know, that way, because you don't have to run very far to catch them. You know, I mean, you know, this weekend the wind laid down pretty good, and a lot of guys were able to get out there and catch a lot of cobia. But, you know, here this week it starts blowing again. This weekend we got another little front coming in, so that water's going to get calm, and you know, you can get out there and catch you some more cobia since you don't have to run that far. But, you know, on these small little weather windows, they're still doing well in navigation buoys from the jetties to about 5 miles out. near shore structures, standpipes, basically anything above the water, same routine, throwing swim baits, bucktail, or curly-tail jigs. Side casting, or if they're down, go ahead and just drop down and jig for them. And then, with the weather, if it does get calm enough, the blackfin tuna bite is actually going really good out on the floaters. But those floaters they're out there. They're 110 miles out of Galveston or Freeport. So you're really not going to have that many opportunities to get out there right now. But if you do get that weather window, those blackfins have been pretty thick out there. Diamond jigs and poppers are really hard to beat. And most of these blackfins are going to be in the 15 to 25 pound class, with an occasional yellowfin mixed in the 50 to 80 pound range. And this will be way more consistent when it actually gets calmer, and here in the next couple weeks or so, when you can get out there more often. But that's something to definitely look forward to if you get the opportunity.
All right, thank you. Great report from the CC Upper Coast region. We're going to take a look at those hot spots. Captain Caleb says inshore trout in the lower Galveston Bay working the rock walls and the sand flats with soft plastic paddle tails rigged on an 1/8 ounce jig head like a mirror lure soft shad in 2 to 4 feet of water. This area can be protected from the inconsistent winds. And then offshore, cobias on the nearshore structures and everything that sticks out of the water on Galveston beachfront. Swim baits, bucktails, and curly-tailed jigs, Bree, are going to work best for those cobias.
All right, this Yeti Lower Fresh guide definitely knows what's up on those lakes, and specifically Fayette County, Bastrop, and Somerville. Hey, Matt, what's going on?
Hey, Bree, how are y'all?
We're
Good.
fantastic, ready to get it started.
Ready to get it started?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about bass. We're going to get this thing kicked off talking about bass on 3 or 4 different lakes and try to cover a little bit of my region each week. Let's kick this off talking about Lake Bastrop. It's a kind of small power plant lake just east of Austin. It's a good lake. Right now the fish are gathered up in the discharge in the morning. You can throw moving baits at those fish, catch them on crankbaits, grubs, and spinner baits. They get a little slow on you. Pick a 1/8 ounce shaky head or 3/16 ounce shaky head up with a green pumpkin zoom trick worm on it, and you can coax those fish into biting. Later, move out on the grass flats for some really fun action. Those fish will blow up through that grass on a wake bait or a frog, and they'll come out of those holes over the hydrilla and just smash that thing, and that's really exciting. It's a visible bite, and that's always a lot of fun. We're starting to get to that hotter time of the year, and those fish will school on Lake Bastrop a lot out in the middle. The hotter it is, the better that gets. You catch those fish on a clear torpedo or a super spook, any type of walking bait. When they're up, it's just a lot of fun to throw into those real active schooling fish. So, and that'll just keep getting better as it gets hotter. Brian Cotter from Texas Hogs sent that report in from Bastrop. He guides there and has been catching them really well. We're going to roll on to some more bass on Fayette County Lake. Fayette County's been real good on main lake points using rattle traps and soft plastics and watermelon colors in 10 to 15 foot of water on the main lake points there. Also, the outside edges of the grass and timber in 8 to 15 foot have been really good. You throw a Texas rig or a Carolina rig soft plastic up to the edge of the grass and work it off where it tapers out, and you get a lot of bites doing that. And this, we're rolling into the summer, and if you want to beat the heat, the night bite has been really good in the discharge there at the power plant. Throw you a 10-inch dark-colored plastic worm, and get out. When it's not as hot, you can catch a lot of really big fish at night. Rolling on to Lake Somerville. Man, has this little lake been on fire. Tournament results lately, your best 5 fish have been running 25 to 30 pounds, and there have been several of those limits caught in nearly every tournament lately. Anglers are catching those out on the main lake drop-offs in 10 to 20 foot of water. Throwing big crankbaits, Carolina rigs, throw you a big worm or a lizard on that Carolina rig. Main thing you're looking for is the schools of shad, and you'll find those fish bunched up anywhere on the points, anywhere you can find those schools of shad. My buddy Greg Boyk at Anglers Angle Guide Service has been over there quite a bit lately, catching a lot of big ones.
So tell me about this photo, Matt.
That photo is a customer of Greg's the other day for the big one that he caught at Fayette County. I always love to see a big old smile on somebody with a big fish in their hand.
Well, I got to tell you, he's got that.
He's
It's
got
a big Texas smile.
He's
All right, tell me
cheesing.
about the white bass.
The white bass at Lake Somerville, it's another thing. That lake is full of white bass. There'll be big schools of them start to surface in the summer. The mid-lake area right now, 15 to 20 foot of water. You'll see them come up and bust, and you may not catch them on the surface, but look for them on your electronics after they go back down. And they're really grouped up right now. Find the bait, find the fish, get you a 1 ounce slab spoon and chartreuse, white or chrome, and you can catch you a box full of them to take home and eat.
All right, Matt, great report from the. Oh, tell me about this photo. I'm sorry.
That photo, that's just a pile of white bass. Customer Greg's caught the other day in just a short period of time. I mean, you know, they're great to catch. They're fun and easy. That's always a great kind of fish.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the photos this week. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Lower Fresh Region hotspots from the Yeti Lower Fresh Region, Fayette County Lake. The bass are on the main lake and grass edges, biting rattle traps and Carolina rigs off plastics. And then Lake Somerville, white bass are active in the mid-lake area in 15 to 20 feet of water on the slabs or tail spinners.
Summertime, summertime, summertime. It's summertime and I'm really excited and I like to sing. Okay, we're just getting started here in the Texas Insider Fishing Report, and coming up next, we're headed to the Lower Coast region and then checking in with our CCA Workbench Master, Dave Farrell, for rigs and techniques. You ready for us, Dave?
Yeah, we're going to try to troll some kings up. I'm going to show you how to catch them.
Woohoo!
Try to keep them on.
Sounds good.
Some wire.
All right, guys, we'll be right back.
Dave's really excited, I can tell.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. The American Fishing Tackle Company. Precision tackle and performance clothing since 1958. Guy Harvey, marine wildlife artist and conservationist. Navionics. We start where the road ends. CCA Texas, a leader in marine conservation. And Okuma, inspired fishing. Meet the water's lightest 25 horsepower four-stroke, the all-new Yamaha F25, the new standard and 25 horsepower portable four-strokes. At just 126 pounds, it's got the best power-to-weight ratio of any 25 horsepower four-stroke on the water. With performance that bests the previous Yamaha F25 and features like Yamaha's VTS for precise trolling speeds, batteryless EFI, built-in resting pads, and carry handles, it's the perfect portable power for small boats.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Inside you, there's an outside you. A you that takes the road less traveled than the road less traveled, and finds the comforts of home extremely uncomfortable. This is for that you.
Remember to follow our guides and be up to date on all things fishing in Texas. Make sure to head over to TexasInsiderFishingReport.com. You can also like us on Facebook at Texas Insider Fishing Report and follow us on Instagram at TipperTV. Also, don't forget to send and tag us in your fish-tastic photos and videos. But now it's time for rigs and techniques.
You know, Dave, here at the CCA Workbench every week, we love to talk about rigs, and tonight, certainly, it looks like you brought a whole bunch of stuff to catch a kingfish on.
Yeah, well, you know, I like to catch kingfish. I'm, they get a bad rap, you know, a lot of places because they're, you know, a lot of people don't like to eat them. I like to eat them a lot because I smoke kingfish and make dip out of them.
Right.
And you know, you get to keep 2 of them a trip, so they can save you a lot of times, you know.
Right.
And they're easy to find, you know. There are a lot during the summertime. The big kings will come in, and a lot of the other kingfish will come in and follow the bait, and you can really find them easily, you know, up and down the whole Texas coast there, especially during the southern end, you know, where they get in close in the clean water, and you can see them from miles away. You know, once the birds gets up, and then you just gotta go over there and get in them. And once you get in them, they're fairly easy to catch. You know, first off, you probably you know, if you have some live baits, you know, you can go ahead and use that, but you're going to have to use wire. Kingfish is a fish eater. He's a king mackerel, and all mackerel have vicious teeth on them. So you're going to have, you know, a wire leader. And this is a pre-made wire leader from Dave Workman. He's been a kingfish guy forever, and these are his leaders. And all kingfish leaders with these kind of, or live bait leaders, are going to have a stinger rig on them.
Right.
And a stinger rig is just a short piece of wire that you can put in the back of the bait, so when a kingfish comes up and tries to take the tail, which is what they're going to do, that's how they feed, he's going to catch that back hook.
Right.
And you know how they feed them anyway is they come streaking in with their speed, and they try to take the tail off the bait. Then they'll spin around and come back and eat the head. Now, if you've got a bunch of wire strung down your live bait, you're going to get him on one of those hooks, and that's what the boys do. They string, you know, for a ribbon fish rig, you know, there's 4 treble hooks in there.
Wow.
You know, they put 4 treble hooks down the back of the bait. They put the big single hook in the front nose of the ribbon fish, and then they put all the other ones down his back. So anywhere on that long ribbon fish that kingfish comes to eat, he's going to run into one of those treble hooks. And that's what you have to do just about whenever you're doing any kind of live bait fishing for a kingfish. You have to put a stinger in it. However, even when you're using a dead bait like a ballyhoo trolling, I put stingers on those as well. This is one I just made before the show started. This is an 8/0 needle eye, kind of a heavy hook. You don't have to use a double shrink like that unless you're fishing for really big kingfish. You could use a single X instead of a double X.
Right.
But once you get your needle eye hook through the ballyhoo and pinned to your pin rig, then you go ahead and have these made up. And what I'll do is I'll slip it over the hook and give it a couple twists to keep it tight so it won't come over there.
Right.
And then I'll put the trailing hook back near the tail, you know, so it can still flap, just loose enough so it can still flap, you know, and swim. And when the kingfish comes up, or the wahoo comes up to eat that, you know, he's going to hopefully get a bill full of that. Because a single hook is really hard to hook them on a lot of times because of their mouth is so hard, and they've got that one ridge up and down.
Now, what about if you don't have live bait, Dave?
Well, you know, a good thing about kingfish is they love to eat shiny, moving things. So if you have any kind of plugs or spoons or a big Rapala Magnum trolling plug like this one right here, they are fish eaters. And if you come trolling by a school of kingfish with one of those things rattling, you're going to get 2 or 3 bites out of them. I mean, you'll have every one of your rods go down. And they just really love shiny plugs, you know.
Me too.
I do too. That's how we get caught. Is, we'll see something shiny in the store and we'll come and get it. Well, the kingfish is the same way. So whenever you've got a good spoon back there flashing, or a big plug, a high-profile plug, or even a bucktail jig.
The first kingfish I ever caught was on a kingfish rig, triple
Exactly.
hooks plus the bucktail. We took a ballyhoo and put it on.
All right.
We get to the wrecks, we drop down, jig it real fast. Most time you get bit on the way down.
Right. Well, I tell you, the commercial guys use big bucktail jigs to catch kingfish. So if a commercial guy's using it, you should probably have it out there too, because he's doing it to make a living. He's wanting to catch them to eat. So.
Dave, I feel like we just don't ever have enough time.
No,
over here
we could
with
go
all
for a
this
little while
great
longer,
stuff.
actually.
Thank you so much. I look forward to coming
worries.
back and talking about products. But where do we go next, Bree?
There's never enough time to talk about fishing.
So
There's just
many
so
social
much to
engagements.
talk about.
So little time.
All right, y'all, from Rockport down to Laguna Madre, get ready for Captain Chad Kinney because he's got the bite report for inshore and offshore this weekend. And let me tell you, it's looking pretty good. Coming at you, Chad. Woo!
Tell you what, fishing was excellent. It was a great lights out offshore and in the bay fishing inshore. So we'll start on the inshore. Took Erica out for Mother's Day weekend, so I got a good personal report here. Out of Port Mansfield, head south to the saucer for redfish and trout. Redfish are still holding up shallow in the mornings, and then they start dropping off as the day goes on and stuff like that. And the trout are still holding that 3 to 5 foot of water in the grass beds. But on the trout fishing, they're really excellent around the saucer out of Mansfield. Try some topwaters early, try like a Rapala skitter walk, and then go ahead and move on to a sand eel, plastic, later in the day as it goes on. Also, live bait's been real productive on a free line. Use like a 20-25 pound fluorocarbon with about a 24-inch leader and a 5-aught tail hook. Works real well. But look for those potholes on those trout. And potholes, like I said before, it's that green area. You're gonna have grass all surrounded by it. That's the weed beds. That's gonna be like 3 to 5 foot of water. You pretty much be able to see it as long as that wind's not blowing 40. So throw out in those sand pockets and retrieve your bait. Through that, all the edges. And the trout are going to hang out on the edge of that grass bed, and they're going to wait for that bait to pass through that sand pocket, and that's when they do. That's they ambush their bait that way. That's how they're all spotted and camouflaged in there. So when you do that, it's really, really good. So we got a picture of a trout there that Erica caught and released. This trout was well over 30 inches, probably 32.
Wow. That is
huge. We had it in the water, and we said wow too when we saw it. We just took a quick snapshot and released it. So it was excellent. So
Good job.
Thanks.
Good job, Chad. Tell me about the redfish, Bub.
Yeah, moving on to redfish. Like I said, they're staying up shallow there on the Mansfield, so still stick with like an 1/8 ounce, 1/4 ounce weedless gold spoon. Or try a saltwater sass on Sea Shad Morning Glory. That little line paddle tail works really good the deeper as the day goes on. But those fish are scattered, so you got to cover the ground. Best thing is get up shallow, look for some flipping mullet. Not the real big ones that are jumping, but the flipping ones, and get out. The best thing to do is put a weight out. Maybe put all your buddies or your anglers like 100 feet apart or so. And stay even as you're walking through there. Don't have 1 or 2 guys pushing way ahead, because all you're going to do is have your buddies behind you fishing in the mud. It kind of messes up your whole wade. So that's more productive if you can get through that route. And we got a great picture of a redfish there also that Erica caught Mother's Day. Same day as we caught that trout. It was a 28-inch on the nose, over 9 pounds. We released that also, multi-spot. So
man,
it was great for the indoor.
I'm going to tell you, the girls in Texas are kicking tail. I want to tell you that. Now let's take a look at the Navionics, Chad, from your region. Now we're talking about down south in the Green Island area, the lower Laguna Madre. Now the other thing that Chad was telling me is all these spoil islands right here, guys, are holding fish right now. The other thing that we're saying is as water gets low, you might want to check out all these potholes and all these little runoffs right here around Green Island between the island itself and the intercoastal. Then we also have along this side of the barrier island, we're having some redfish show up along there. So Chad usually says you want to throw gold spoons as well as those soft bass assassin plastics. Do you agree with that, Chad?
Oh yeah, that's definitely what I'll go with.
All right, so let's go offshore.
Yep, on the offshore, moved up to Port Aransas, got a great report. A buddy of mine fishing out of Heartache. They did great. They went deep to Nueces Dome for marlin, wahoo, dorado. Starting out with the wahoo, I set out of Port A, head to Nueces Dome, and my favorite thing for the wahoo is still that Rapala diver. Purple color is still my favorite. You get a mackerel color, something else that works great, but put both of them on your flat lines, throw them about 8 knots, and on your outriggers, use the rig ballyhoo and stuff like that. Look for your weed lines for your temperature breaks. If you get on a weed line, work it both ways with the current, see which one, the bite's more productive on. Also, a key thing is, guys, now with all of our technology, look for bait balls on your sonar and check what depth they're at and the temperature and stuff like that. So the bait balls normally, in the morning, they're more up on the surface. You can probably see them visually, or if not, look at your sonar and mark them down. But as the day goes on, they're going to drop down deeper. So take a look at that. Make sure you're still on. They might be down at 100, 300 foot of water. But if you're in that area and you're marking those, you're in the right spot. So that will help you with your fishing for the results of the whole day. But moving on to the...
Tell me about the photo of the wahoo there, Chief.
Yeah. We got a good wahoo there. They picked up about a 30-pound wahoo, and they had multiple hookups. So that was a good, clean pick there.
All right.
Then we're moving on to the same area in the Nueces Dome out there for blue marlin. Put the rig ballyhoo on the riggers and try a wide-range mold craft on your center rigger. Catch a teaser bird, helps a bunch right there. And go ahead and just put all your baits out and look for the billfish to come up. Big shadow will appear and they'll disappear. So tease them if you need to, if you see them going through there. And we got a photo of a nice blue marlin, free jumping there. Was hooked up, not free jump, but hooked up on the heartache there. Great pick.
Hey, great job this week. Thanks for all the photos, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Lower Coast hotspots from the Lower Coast region. Inshore, redfish and trout out of Port Mansfield. Head south to the Saucer for redfish and trout, which was just north of our Navionics. Redfish are showing up in the shallows in the morning, in the drop-offs and deeper as the day goes on. Trout are holding in 3 to 5 feet of water by the grass beds. And then offshore, marlin, wahoos, dorados out of Port Aransas head deep to the Nucleus Dome.
Man.
Did I say that right? For marlin, wahoos, and dorado.
And dorados, the Nueces Dome.
Nueces.
Woo! Those pictures, that redfish and that trout, oh, shoot.
Come on.
Happy Mother's Day.
That's
y'all. Okay, listen up. The CCA Texas Star Tournament is just around the corner, and to date, Star has awarded $5.8 million in scholarships and is giving away another $325 grand this year. But hey, the tournament isn't just for the kids. Fishing May 27th through September 4th can net you one of 17 boats, 5 trucks, or 3 UTVs in 10 regular divisions. So get registered now online at Academy or any way station. CCA, the leader in marine conservation and habitat restoration. Every week, I'm just so impressed with everything that they do.
You know, the thing
Speechless.
that's so great is not only do they give back, but we also have the programs for habitat,
Yeah,
which
they're
is
amazing.
Building Conservation Trust.
CCA.
Also. Good job, CCA.
Good job. All right, if you're fishing in the middle, fresh, or middle coast regions this weekend and want the latest bite reports, stay hooked because we have that and more on the Texas Insider Fishing Report.
Good job.
Thanks.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Contender Boats, performance through innovation. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. CCA Star, fishing fun for giant prizes and scholarships. Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. Power Pole, swift, silent, secure. And King Sailfish Mounts, www.kingsailfish.com.
At Yamaha, reliability is a family tradition. Meet the next generation. 4 new advanced technology-inspired inline 4-cylinder performers. Bred from the reliability and boater satisfaction that is part of Yamaha's DNA. They prove that when power gets lighter, faster, stronger, and smarter, boating gets even better. And more satisfying for boaters like you.
Hey, how do you like your Contender? How do I like my Contender? What's not to like? Dude, I just saw a Contender, and man, I gotta give me one.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left. There's no cycle. When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Boater Safety Week, and I brought in Auxiliaries Jeff Barnes. Jeff, what do we need to know about what's so special about this week?
Well, this week, because it is National Safe Boating Week, obviously a lot of anglers watch this show, and a lot of these anglers go on boats every day. Sometimes they're even by themselves. So we want to make sure that when these anglers go out, or anybody that's on a boat, that they're going to come home safe. And so the biggest things that we want to talk about is, this is a Type 2 PFD. Type 2, Type 3 PFDs, very important to have on board at all times, especially if you have, depending on how many people you have on board, you have to have the same number of PFDs on board. This is a Type 2, also Type 3s are available. This is a Type 4 PFD. This is basically known as a throwable. It's got the handles on the side. Someone goes overboard, you want to throw this out to the person in distress.
All right, now flares, sometimes we make big mistakes with flares. What do we need to know about flares,
Well,
Jeff?
the biggest thing is that this is required equipment on any vessel. And before you go underway, make sure that the expiration dates are within the specific amount of time. So if they're expired, make sure you get to the marine store and buy some new ones.
Jeff, ARC, what is this thing with its antenna?
This is what's called a personal locator beacon. And anywhere in the world, you get lost, you get hurt in the water, in the middle of nowhere, you can deploy this and the cavalry will be coming for you to help.
People think that cell phones are going to work for them offshore sometimes. Why do we need to still have a VHF radio?
A VHF marine radio is extremely important because when cell phones don't work and you need help, what happens is that this signal goes much further than the cell phone signal, especially when you're out in the ocean or in the Gulf, somewhere where there's not any cell phone service, and you can actually relay information from boater to boater to get you help.
All right, now, PFDs have become very small and comfortable. Why don't you tell me about this type?
This is a great little PFD. It's inflatable. All you gotta do is put this around your waist and you'll totally forget you even have it on until you really need it. This is mine personally. I wear it every time I go on the boat, and I highly recommend that even if you're a little bit apprehensive about getting a life jacket on because it's a little too bulky, this is a great thing to have.
Well, thank you for keeping us clear. Don't forget to hook up your kill switch, guys, if you're fishing by yourself. And where are we going to go next, Bree? Bree, where are we going next?
Well, we are going to the StarTron Middle Fresh region. So if you're dropping a line around El Paso, San Angelo, Waco, or Sam Rayburn and Toledo Bend, then Steven Johnson is your man and catching is his plan. Go for it, Steven.
That sounds pretty good, Bree. I like that.
You're welcome.
Hey, the big deal in the Middle Fresh region this week, we've got two big events going on. We have the Big Bass Splash, which is an amateur big fish tournament on Toledo Bend, and then also we've got the Bassmaster Elite Tournament going on at Sam Rayburn. So we've got two big giant events going on right here within 30 miles apart. So it's a pretty neat week. I'm going to start off talking about some bass fishing over on Toledo Bend. There's two big groups of fish going on at Toledo right now. There's a group from the 1 to 5 foot range, and then there's another group of fish from like the 10 to 18 to 20 foot range. The best way to catch these fish, to get the best bites on, up shallow, we're throwing frogs, both popping and buzz frogs. We're throwing swim jigs. We're throwing top waters. We're throwing prop baits and walking baits like some kind of popper or some kind of spook. And then these fish are coming off the flooded hay grass and the hydrilla. On Toledo, the water's come up with the rain the last couple of weeks. It's gradually come up, so there's a lot of good flooded grass to throw those baits in. And the other deal we had talked about last week was the brim spawn, and there's still a bunch of brim up there spawning. So as those brims stay up there, those big fish are going to ease up there and look for that easy meal hanging around those big brim beds. On the deeper fish, the best way to catch these, we're throwing Texas rigs and Carolina rigs. We're throwing a 10 or 12-inch red bug or June bug, some kind of bandit style. A lot of people throw a trick worm. A lot of people throw, a big curl tail worm. It's just totally up to you, whatever you're best, comfortable, chunking on that. And then the other thing is crankbait. The crankbait's really starting to come in this week. We're catching those from like 12 to 18. Sometimes you can run a 10 to 12 foot diver, and then sometimes you want to run that 14 to 16, and then you can jump up to those big divers from that 16, on deeper. And a lot of it just depends on how deep you want to get that crankbait down there.
All right, what else you got? Go ahead.
Okay, no, I was just going to say on the Big Bass Splash on Toledo Bend, that tournament is going to be held out of Cypress Bend Park. That's on the Louisiana side. And that tournament is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and that is a big bass hourly deal that Bob Siegley pays, just like we had a couple weeks ago over on Sam Rayburn. And the biggest deal, it's like $1 million question. Everybody's asking me, what's it going to take, to win? And I said there will be a couple fish over that 10-pound range, and then they're saying how deep. And I honestly think that frog with those brim up there bedding, I really think it's going to be a huge factor. It might not win the tournament, but I think there'll be 2 or 3, fish in that top 5 that come on a frog or a swim jig, up there shallow.
Now you mentioned the elite. Tell me about those guys.
Okay, this is the Toyota Bassmaster Texas Fest. This tournament last year was held at Lake Ray Roberts. This year it's held at Sam Rayburn. This tournament is benefiting the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. This tournament's going to go on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then they're going to shut it down on Saturday. And the Expo Center is the George Henderson Expo Center in Lufkin on Saturday, and all the pros, there'll be vendors, boat people, rod people, food and drinks for the kids. They've got truck rides, boat rides, a little bit of everything. So it's a pretty awesome event. You can see all the guys, and then the top 20 guys will fish on Sunday. So the whole field will fish Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then Saturday off. So it's a pretty neat event. It's a huge deal for the Texas Parks and Wildlife. It just really shows what they do here in Texas for the restocking program and everything here. And one thing on this event, every boater has a judge in the boat, and the judge has scales. So when you go to the weigh-in on this tournament, most of the anglers, if they do have one big fish, they're only going to bring one fish in. These fish, as these guys catch these fish, they're going to be weighed in the boat. They'll verify. They'll punch it in on an iPad computer, send it in, and those fish are caught and released right there. And it's a huge help. Mainly this time of the year, the water's already up in the high 70s, low 80s. So, boy, it takes a lot of stress off these fish, and it's just an awesome event. So if you're anywhere around my region, man, it's a great time to come over and either on Toledo Bend or Sam Rayburn and check all this out.
All right, Stephen, thank you so much. Guys, get out and support the Texas wildlife and all these tournaments. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Middle Fresh region. Toledo Bend bass, shallow fishermen. You want to use frogs, topwaters, both walking and prop baits or swim jigs. The best depth is 1 to 6 feet of water. And then the deeper water fishermen, you use Texas and Carolina rig 10-inch worms or deep diving crankbaits, and the best depth to be going is 10 to 18 feet of water. That's deep.
That is deep, but like Steven says, don't poo-poo the brim. Ever.
I love it.
All right, Middle Coastin' It with you this week is Captain Bink Grimes, who's not only been getting his clients limits, but killing his social media game on Matagorda Sunrise Lodge. Bink, I'm so proud of your Instagram posts, and thank you so much for tagging Tiffer TV in all your photos. I really appreciate it. Mr. Bink.
Hey, Bink, you there?
Yes.
Go ahead. Let's go, man.
Man, we've had a bright moon this past week, and it's afforded us a minor bite at sunrise, a better bite around midday, and then another bite around sunset. A lot of our water's pumped back in the bay this week with the southeast winds, and that's pushing the trout back on the shoreline and putting us back in a summer pattern. This time of year, if you're not fishing wraps and mullet on the shoreline, you're probably just wasting your time. We're looking for slicks in the morning and wading through them, fan casting the grass beds and sand pockets with super spooks, skitter walks, and she dogs. And then the live baiters are tossing live croakers and been doing exceptionally well, soaking baits and pockets of grass and allowing the trout to find that noisy croaker. Captain Gary Gray said Maine Bay shorelines and San Antonio and Espiritu Santo Bay are still giving up excellent catches of trout. Again, he's going to key in on slicks and bait activity and tossing the butt-naked color Bass Assassin while throwing lures, and he's also throwing croakers with live bait. Guy Lynn Smith said the same thing, but he said his best bait has been chicken on a chain Bass Assassin. They're also wading the mid-bay reefs in San Antonio Bay, much like we do in East Matagorda Bay, and it's paid off on Bass Assassins, down south lures, and mirror lure Little John. And they're drifting and catching limits on the same reefs on live shrimp under Mid-Coast Cork or an STX popping cork. Then in Bass Drop and Chocolate, West Matagorda Bay, trout have been on the protected reefs there on live shrimp. Most of the time the water's been stained, so a noisy cork has worked better. Drifters in East Bay have had a tough time with the winds, but those willing to grind have had a chance at least one big trout a day. Remember, those big trout still eat when the water looks like chocolate milk. You just have to put the bait in front of them. Case in point, the photo there, a picture of a 7-pounder caught on my boat. And just check out the color of the water in the background. It looks like a glass of chocolate milk. So.
Yeah, you're right. All right, tell me about the redfish, big man.
Man, Port O'Connor, Gary Gray said he's picked up the redfish along the shorelines and the back lake, but he's using those Bass Assassin Sea Shad, the paddle tail ones in the copperhead color, on a 1/16 ounce chartreuse head. Most of the fish are in about knee-deep water around the points and guts and drop-offs on the edges of the reef. Those wading with live shrimp under popping cork are tossing to the edges of the reef and picking up reds and also a few black drum. There's a lot of action. There's been many undersized catch and release fish, but as long as the tide remains high, those keeper fish will be tight to the grass. And Matagorda, guide Michael Ross said the back lakes will say many windy days. He's chasing those redfish in the sloughs and the bayous, like Maverick Bayou, Hidden Bayou, Green Island, and Highland Slough. Each one of those little bayous has little clusters of shell all along the shorelines, and that's where the reds are holding. You can fish it even when the wind's, blowing 25 knots. He's been tossing live shrimp under a popping cork, but when the tides get real high, he'll take a cut bullet and soak it. In Freeport, Matagorda and Port O'Connor jetties also been holding redfish at this time. There's lots of white shrimp on the beach, evident by all the Gulf boats dragging about a half a mile off the coast. There's also a lot of white shrimp, and it's those kind of white shrimp that look real good with a jalapeno and bacon around them. That's those big old table shrimp, but those redfish love those big table shrimp. So get you a big bunch of table shrimp. If the reds don't eat them, you take them home and grill them.
Speaking of grilling, why don't we talk a little bit about swordfish, bub?
Man, I'm going to eat some tomorrow night. Some guy, Michael Quebeca, brought me some from Matagorda. He said the nighttime swordfish bite has been exceptional this year. His pattern's been drifting hilltops and domes with squid and staggering lines on the surface, so about 300 feet in the nighttime. Most of the fish have been in the 100 to 200 pound range, and they're out about 75 to 80 miles. The wind kicked back up this week on us and kept a lot of offshore boats pinned to the dock or close to the beach. But in Freeport, guide Mike Segal, he's been concentrating about 25 foot of water, 4 to 5 miles off the beach with the rough conditions. He's picking up bull reds, black-tip sharks, and big old gas tops. That's kind of our deal this time of year in Texas. Man, springtime, it's lots of wind, but you got to go when it gets calm, have the boat gassed up and ready. And you see that picture there, that swordfish, that's Chance and Caitlin Stone with a real nice sword off the coast of Matagorda. They were fishing with Michael Quebeca.
Well, thanks for the pictures this week, Bink. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Middle Coast regional hotspots. Our Captain Bink says inshore trout shorelines in San Antonio Bay are holding solid trout around the slicks and mullet. Use Bass Assassins. And then the trout are good on the reefs on live shrimp under a mid-coast or STX popping cork. And then offshore swordfish are good at night while drifting the hilltops and domes with squid in 300 feet of water.
300. Well, I can't believe it, Rick, but we're already on our last region in the Upper Fresh region, I know. But we also get to see what new products Dave is showcasing at the CCA Workbench, so stick around. There's lots more to see and hear on the one and only Texas Insider Fishing Report.
I can't gamble.
We're just playing
games
games
here. I can't even throw the dice.
Just playing games.
I can't even throw the dice. Oh, it was
Here,
a
I'll get
7.
it for you.
It was a 7.
It was a 7. I don't know what that means.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, and Pathfinder. Rapala, catch the latest at rapala.com. Yeti, built for the wild. Building Conservation Trust, CCA's National Habitat Program. Startron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
The ultimate predator has evolved again. Now, Yamaha VMAX SHO Performance is prowling the waters in 4 hungry, exciting new models. With their 4 valves per cylinder and double overhead cam fuel-injected design, these advanced 4-stroke predators are taking performance to a whole new level. Vicious, lean, efficient. VMAX SHO. The pack is growing.
Thanks for tuning in to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to keep up with our captains, contests, and appearances. You never have to miss a show. You can find full episodes as well as special segments right on our homepage. Just head to TexasInsiderFishingReport.com for everything you need to know to stay hooked up.
Hi, I'm Robert Shamlin with JL Marine Systems with your Power Pole Tip of the Week. Last week we talked about the Sea Monster advanced features that are built into all the Power Pole products. This week I'd like to talk about the Sea Monster app. Go to the marketplace, download it either for your iPhone or Android system, and it'll unlock all of the customizable features only available through the app. It also has a feature of diagnostics that you can email directly to our tech support department in case you ever have any issues. In addition to that, you can upgrade to the latest software, so you're always at the latest version of our software with the latest features. It even has assistance in theft recovery, and it'll also help you register your products. So go to the market, download the app, and that's your Power Pole Tip of the Week. So we're here at the CCA workbench.
Yes, sir.
And you know, Dave, it never ceases to amaze me how you come up with some of these cool products.
Well, the guy sent me this, you know. I put a thing out and said, hey, send me some cool products. And this guy had a really neat game.
Well,
this is a tag and release called the Tag and Release Sport Fishing game. And it's made by a fella in Florida. But it's, you know, if you can fish anywhere, you're going to mess it all up, man. Anyway, this is it's a trivia game. So what you do is you roll the dice and you go around and you answer different questions from Gourmet Gallery to the Pirates, Battle Wagons and Boat Builders, latitudes and locations, boat drinks and watering holes, conservation education. They got a whole bunch of different bait and tackle. So you have questions like this bait and tackle saying, well, you know, what is Mud Hole's specialty? There you go, Mud Hole.
What is
Mud Hole?
What is it?
Well, it's custom rods, Mud Hole custom rods.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
I didn't know.
Yeah, all that. Anyway, it's a great way to spend the afternoon talking about fishing and playing a game. You know, why not?
Okay.
Why not?
I'm in.
Tag and Release Sport Fishing Game.
Good
TagandRelease.com.
Dave. I like it.
All right. Next, we got these are brand new Voodoo mullets from Egret Baits, and these things are just. They look exactly like a tiny little finger mullet, man.
Yeah, they do.
That's the silver streak right there, and this is the high def stripe, and you know they have a woven mesh and a serrated body, so this thing just swims wiggle. Like a fish, and it's made from the same material it's made. You know, tennis shoes are made out of the sole of tennis shoes, so they're incredibly strong. You know, they'll last for a long time, fish after fish. You can catch redfish, trout, snook, anything that'll eat a finger mullet, I imagine, we're going to have to try to eat that thing. You know, I mean, they're just awesome. Egret Baits Company, egretbaits.com. You can get those Voodoo mullets. You guys, that's the 3.5-inch one. They actually, I think they make a bigger one too.
Wow, I like it.
These are really, you know, I wear these constantly because, you know, I'm an old fella and I've been living, you know, in a place where I get sun all the time. So this, you know, a sun mask really helps you out. And this is the AFCO sun mask. I like my mask to be, you know, relatively free of any patterns and anything, and that's why I like this one, because whenever you have a whole lot of patterns and paint on your sun mask, it makes it just very uncomfortable in my opinion. And I like really light one single tone fabrics. This is a 3-panel design which really fits nicely on your face. That's another thing I like. It also has the holes to keep, you know, when you're breathing out, you don't fog up your glasses as bad. Yeah. And it's got a rice thing to cover up your neck real good at the back.
Yeah, it's tapered in
at the back.
So it's side where you can put it on the back part, as you guys notice down on the bottom.
Yep.
See?
That's the AFCO sun mask, and it's, you know, UPF 40.
Nice.
So it'll keep it off.
Very good.
All right, these here, we got some J-Cam lures. We're talking about kingfish earlier. These things are really, you know, handmade trolling lures made in the USA. He pretty much makes two heads, you know, a 2 ounce and a 5 ounce. And you can fish these things. You can just put a hook in them and fish them by themselves, or you can put a ballyhoo back there and fish it, like you would an island lure or something.
Right.
But these things would be great for kingfish, wahoos, dolphin.
It's heavy.
Yeah, that's the 5 ounce one, and you put a big hook in that by itself. Like a lot of people don't know. You get these hair lures, and these things will work good without any bait at all, just with a single hook in there. It's got a straight hole down the center, so it's going to run straight as an arrow, especially with that long head.
You know what we're going to do with these? We're going to put a earring post, and we're going to hang them from Bree's earlobes. I think she would look cute with these.
Well, she looks cute anyhow.
All right, Bree.
Oh, wow,
come on. You
thanks.
got a little love from the workbench.
By the time I'm 40, my earlobes will be down to here.
Exactly.
All right, reporting from Amarillo down into Lubbock, over to the Fort Worth, Dallas area. It's your guide, Rick Carter. Rick, it seems like most of the action is on Lake Fork this week, so let's hear all about it.
We got it going on at Lake Fork, Bree. The bass are starting to get on their early summer patterns here at Fork, so you want to watch for schooling bass first thing in the mornings on all the main lake points up and down the lake. If it's a main lake point with deep water, say 50 yards away, that's where the bass are right now. The early bite has been the best, so you got to get your boat in first thing, be the first ones out on the water. A shad pattern swim baits like the 4-inch Elite Shiner and a Pearl or Albino on about a 3/8 head is working great. Medium diving crankbaits and Fire Tiger and Tennessee Shad this week have been the best colors on those. Throw them on about a 7-foot cranking rod with 15-pound fluorocarbon so you can get down to the fish. Midday on Fork, we're using electronics to find the fish that are on the humps and the main lake humps. You throw a Carolina rig out, about a 30-inch leader, 1 ounce weight, and we're catching those on some chartreuse pumpkin, tap-out worms, and the Lake Fork hyper stick and chartreuse pepper has been really producing.
All right, what you got a photo for me here, Chief?
Yes, sir. I've got a buddy there from Detroit, Alabama, Landon Scott. He's my little buddy, Rick, and you can tell when a youngster has just got it for fishing and hunting, and that little Landon Scott right there, he's got it, buddy.
Now, I see somebody in the background there wearing a camo. Is that his daddy?
That's his father, yes. They come to Lake Fork from Detroit, Alabama every chance they get.
I love that. Well, I want to try to come there every chance I get. I'm going to bring Dave and Bree and Kathy, and we're going to go bass fishing and everything else. So what else you got for us in your region this week, bud?
We've got some crappie going on Lake Fork still yet. Brad Williams is catching them a little shallower. The 10 to 15-foot brush piles this week are holding tons of crappie for him. The pink and pearl baby shad on a 16th-ounce head, and also the live minnows are still catchy. Over on Lake Lavon, guide Tommy Ezell is still doing really well on the tree lines that kind of parallel the bank. 8 to 10 foot of water on those standing timbers, and he likes the bonehead glider with the light head to get a real slow fall on that. That crappie photo I have is Aaron and Jill. They came all the way to Lake Fork from Canada to fish with Brad on Lake Fork and catch some big crappie.
All right, so Rick, I got a question for you. I wonder how they came up with the name Bonehead crappie jig. You know anything about that?
I don't know, dude. That Bonehead company is here in Texas, and they got some neat stuff. I don't know where the name came from.
All right, so I got a question for you. If a guy was going to book a trip for you, obviously your information's up there on the screen, what kind of advice would you give him as to what he should be doing if it's in the next 6 weeks or so?
If you're going to come to Fork in the next 6 weeks, bring your big tackle. I mean your 7.5 foot heavy action rod, fluorocarbon line, and get on the FLWPro.com. That's my site. LakeForkMarina.com is where we all guide out of. And we have lots of information, a lot of advice coming from there. Just come on down to East Texas and we'll put you on them, Rick.
All right, so what airport quickly would they fly into is your best suggestion, bud?
Some fly into Shreveport, Louisiana and drive over, and some just fly into DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth, and drive back east over to us.
All right, thanks for all the answers to my great questions, and we're going to go ahead and take a look
Aren't you happy
at
with
the
yourself?
Upper Fresh hotspots. Lake Fork bass in the main lake points early in the morning, big bass chasing shad on top. Swim baits and crankbaits and shad patterns are working well, and then crappie, brush piles in 10 to 15 feet of water, light line with minnows will do the job.
Those are some great questions.
Those were great questions.
They really weren't. They weren't good questions. I had to come up with those on the fly, though, and you know, sometimes the pressure.
The pressure. It's so good. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in this week. Remember, if you have new products at CaptainMcMurphy.com. Make sure you tune in next week. We'll be here asking more great questions with great reports. See you next week, guys.